Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Always, yet another podcast, in which we will be discussing many more Harry Potterish things for far too long, because we can.
Apologies for how long these podcasts will be, because we just can't stop ourselves.
Yeah, and but also we're not sorry, so
We've literally,
I rescind Catherine's apology on her behalf.
we've literally already been talking about Harry Potter things between ourselves for the last 15 minutes. So we just can't.
And you need to know that before we start recording and the moment we stop recording, I then go and talk to my husband for an additional 2 hours about Harry Potter.
Amazing. And so today we were going to talk about chapters 5, 6, and 7, but neither of us actually ended up reading chapter 7 because there's so much going on in chapters 5 and 6. So we're just going to talk about those two.
We are. Shall we begin?
So let's hit it. Chapter 5, Diagon Alley.
Yeah, which is super exciting, but let's get some negative out of the way first.
Okay.
Diagon Alley, okay, we get it. Oh, diagonally, it's whatever. It's not a great joke. It's not a great joke. And there are lots of things in this, I was about to say episode, there are lots of things in this chapter that are very indicative of she didn't realize how popular and actually eventually how serious it was going to be. So there are lots of kind of silly things that she ends up having to stick to that I think she perhaps hadn't originally intended. Like, if she'd known, she wouldn't have made them so silly.
Yes, I think you're right. So they wake up, Harry wakes up, they're still in the shack, and he thinks it's all been a dream. But nope, there's Hagrid, and they get going. He and Hagrid. Yeah. See, now I wonder where the Dursleys, are the Dursleys still in the little shack? Are they in their bedroom?
I don't know. Them. Yeah, I don't know. It's best not to ask, and especially because it's very telling that you don't really know where they are, and you don't really care because they're done being annoying, and so you're like, well, let's move on. And all of a sudden, there are goblins. So, you know.
I know. Oh my gosh. I love this detail about Gringotts, the bank. Oh my gosh. And it's run by goblins. That's so cool.
So it is. And also, I love that he says all these statements about goblins, which are like, oh, you know, they're tough, and also you don't want to mess with a goblin, and also they're nasty. But then also the description of them, 3 pages later, is that they're just kind of small-ish people, but with long hands.
Yeah.
That's basically it. Sharp features and long hands. And I'm like, all right, sounds like a middle-aged secretary. It's not like...
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so it's a really cool feature. And the notion of there being I love that Harry is all of us. So we experience the Wizarding World for the first time through Harry. So he's like, wait, there's a Wizarding Bank? And you think to yourself, yeah, of course there's a Wizarding Bank.
Makes perfect sense.
Of course. And how small the Wizarding World is that there is only one Wizarding Bank in London. And then later in the series, only one Wizarding Hospital. Right. And it's all very, yeah.
Right. And so Harry, they're rowing back, and Hagrid is reading the newspaper, the Daily Prophet, the first mention of it, love it. And he goes, Ministry of Magic, messing things up as usual. There's a Ministry of Magic, Harry asked before he could stop himself. And then the first mention of Cornelius Fudge, very telling. So old Cornelius Fudge got the job, bungler if ever there was one, so he pelts Dumbledore with owls every morning asking for advice. This is the Minister of Magic. Interesting. Very interesting.
He's ironically rather reminiscent of the current Prime Minister in the United Kingdom. So
yes. The politics in Harry Potter are amazing, honestly.
Yeah. Mainly because they're just based on real politics.
It's true. Well, it's true. It's true. And so Harry...
I always literally the amount of jokes that people have made recently comparing Cornelius Fudge saying, Voldemort's not back, and Boris Johnson saying, there is no coronavirus.
Oh my gosh.
It's too right, it's too real, it's too much.
And now Boris Johnson's in the hospital with it, so...
No, he's out now.
Okay, well...
He's convalescing.
Oh, well. Now he knows.
Now he knows. Maybe if he'd asked Dumbledore for some advice.
True.
instead of having coronavirus, he would have ended up,
Not having coronavirus.
not having coronavirus, but instead putting a child in an abusive household for 11 years.
Oh, Lord.
And that's my one per episode.
Okay, sure.
every single podcast, I will make a reference to the fact that Dumbledore leaves Harry in an abusive household, and there's nothing you can do to stop.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, so we're learning more about Dumbledore as well, that people want him for the Minister of Magic, which means he's obviously not just respected by Hagrid, but also respected by
the wizarding
general wizarding community.
Mm-hmm. I like that Rowling explains, so what does a Ministry of Magic do? Well, their main job is to keep it from the muggles that there's still witches and wizards up and down the country. Why? Why, blimey, Harry, everyone would be wanting magic solutions to their problems. Now we're best left alone.
Such a wonderful adult answer to a child that's not the real reason. But it's because it's exactly what a parent would say to a child. Oh, of course, it's for this reason, when actually it's not for that reason at all. And we later find out that the Muggle Prime Minister knows.
Yeah. So cool. What a cool detail.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That chapter, what is it, the beginning of the 5th book? 6th. Beginning of the 6th book. That's so good.
So good. I love the interaction between the wizarding world and the Muggle world. I think it's...
Yeah, and the fact that they left that feature out of the films is a crime.
I know.
You know what? We move on. We're moving on way too quickly. We're only in chapter 5 of the 1st book.
Okay, a hilarious little detail that I did write down because I just thought it was really cute. So they're riding the train to London, and it says Hagrid took up 2 seats and sat knitting what looked like a canary yellow circus tent. Like, what's that?
Yeah,
what's he doing?
They never tell us what he's knitting, do they?
Yeah, no. Oh, okay. So if this list of school equipment and textbooks did not make you crazy to go to Hogwarts, like, I was like, why can't I go to Hogwarts? I want all of these things.
Yes, but I had 2 main feelings, actually. Well, 3 feelings. The first one is so British, I can't even. The second one is, this is some of the silly things I was talking about. So Magical Theory, the author's last name is Waffling, as in someone that waffles on about theoretical things. And Transfiguration, their last name is Switch. Herbs, their last name is Spore. It's just a little bit like, okay, Rowling, you're having fun, but if you'd known that you were going to be writing the largest single narrative media franchise in the world, you probably would have
silly.
A little less silly, because I mean, and it's great that even with that, it still becomes such a phenomenon. That's great, but you can't help but think if she could rewrite it now, she might make it a little less.
Yeah. A little bit more. I mean, yes, this is a children's book and it's for, 10 and 11-year-olds and up, but you could be a little less silly.
Yeah. Also, don't you love Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them by Newt Scamander? Because obviously that's like a thing now.
Yes. It's a whole film franchise. Yeah.
Yeah. I told you I met him as well, right?
Eddie Redmayne?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Him and his wife. Oh,
yeah.
I love them so much. Sam styled Eddie Redmayne's wife, and I'm so jealous.
I did indeed. Anyway, that's not the point. Name dropping, the dropping of names. So, yes, I also love as well, students may also bring an owl or a cat or a toad. But why?
And also, which brings us to, there's an owlery at Hogwarts. Is there a cattery or a toadery? Like, where do the cats and toads go? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, it sounds elitist to me.
I don't know.
But also it's because so later Hagrid makes is it Hagrid? Someone. Yeah, Hagrid makes a comment about how good having an owl is because at least they will bring your mail back and forth for you for free and you won't need to pay for it because they're your owl. So I think that's like a casual perk of having an owl. So students that have a toad or a cat, that's just because they're allowed to have pets because obviously animals. And I think as well it's supposed to be an homage to like a witch's familiar.
True.
Even though it's then never mentioned again.
Right.
But we digress.
Yes. Yes. Other than, Hermione and Neville have a cat and a toad, but they're the only ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Anyway.
then also an owl, a cat, or a toad. And then Ron's there with a rat. And you're like, is that
Yes.
on the pre-approved list of pets? No, it's not.
Exactly. It's so strange. I don't get it. Just these little
Also, the fact
questions.
that your rat then later turns out to be a murderer.
Ugh. I mean, it's a brilliant, brilliant plot point, but terrible.
But still.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
also, I'm obsessed with, you can tell a first-time writer, I love it, this is not a criticism at all, you can tell a first-time writer when moments in books end and you can see the film transition.
Mm-hmm.
Can we buy all this in London? Harry wondered aloud. If you know where to go, said Hagrid. And then you can just see a Star Wars-esque slide shot scene transition.
Yep. You can't. And there's even a little asterisk, break in the page.
Yeah.
So for that transition. Yeah. So they come to the leaky cauldron.
Yeah, which, by the way, so this is a British thing that I find very curious that maybe you wouldn't have thought about. Harry had never been to London before. Huh?
Oh.
That's weird. He's 11 years old and he's never been to London.
That is interesting.
That's weird. Especially because they don't live that far from London.
Yeah. That is very interesting.
But then I guess it's not because why would they ever take him to London? But the admittance that Harry had never been to London before to a British reader would be like, oh, so it's symbolizing just how sheltered he is.
Mm-hmm. It's so sad.
Whereas say maybe an American reader, because America is so big, it wouldn't, if this book were American and Harry was from, I don't know, North Dakota and made a comment about the fact that he'd never been to New York City, no one would think anything of it.
Yeah.
Whereas the fact that an English child has never been to London is bizarre because you can get from the northernmost reaches of Scotland to London in under 5 hours. So
you can't even get out of Texas in under 5 hours.
Exactly.
So, well, depending on where you start from. You can get from Texas to Oklahoma in less than 3 hours, but anyway, we digress.
Which is what we do best.
It's true.
So he's never been to London before. They're in London. They go into the leaky cauldron.
And everybody realizes that Harry's back.
Right, but also, backing up a bit, Leaky Cauldron is the first time that we're confronted or given this idea of a building that no one but the wizarding community can see.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way Rowling, she does it in loads of books as well. I love the way Rowling talks about how people walked past it, blah, blah, blah. No, now I can't see it. But basically, the people hurrying by didn't glance at it. Their eyes slid from the big bookshop on one side to the record shop on the other, as if they couldn't see the leaky cauldron at all. And then he glances past it. They never talk about it again. It's a wonderful way of Rowling just being like, there's a subtlety given all the weirdness of the wizarding community, there is a subtlety to how they make the muggles not notice them.
Mm-hmm. And just how, it's all right there. The muggles could see, and I don't know, that this world is right there where the muggle, right in the muggle world, and they just can't be bothered.
It's kind of like a bit of a savage read on the muggle community. It's right there. It's right there, guys.
Exactly.
And then we meet Daedalus Diggle again.
Yes, I love it. Delighted, Mr. Potter. Just can't tell you. Diggle's the name. Daedalus Diggle. I've seen you before. You bowed to me once in a shop. Yeah.
Oh, he remembers.
It's so cute. And then we meet
I thought the movie did this scene really well, actually. The movie did this really well.
They did.
Doris Crockford, Mr. Potter. Absolutely thrilled to see you again.
Yes.
Okay, and then we meet Professor Quirrell.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I never liked Professor Quirrell.
Well, of course not.
But even the first time I read it, before you find out that he's not a good dude, I don't like him. I don't think he's a very well done character, particularly.
He's not. No, I agree. Just the only thing that makes him noteworthy is his stammer and how scared he is of nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we know why he's scared later, but
Yeah.
we don't know until the very end of this book what's up. And so he's just kind of this ridiculous, pathetic character.
I mean, I did quite like Hagrid's explanation about they say he met vampires in the Black Forest and there was a nasty bit of trouble with a hag. Never been the same since. Scared of the students, scared of his own subject. I also loved as well vampires, hags. Harry's head was swimming.
Yeah.
Like he's just like, you're just throwing those phrases around like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And here I am, having never been to London before, and you're like, oh, casually there's vampires in the world.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes, literally everything that Hagrid ever says to Harry, experiencing it as Harry, I'm like, oh my gosh, tell me more about this. I have so many questions about this and this and this. And yeah.
Yeah, I do love it. I do love like casual throwaway reference to a vampire. If I was ever with someone and they casually rolled out that someone they knew had a bit of a run-in with a vampire, I'd be like, hold the phone.
Wait a sec. Yeah.
No. Like,
yeah.
This requires further discussion.
But before Harry can bring up that discussion, we are into Diagon Alley. We have tapped all the bricks and we are in Diagon Alley, and it is incredible. Oh my gosh. Can I just go to Diagon Alley right now?
You sense the magic. You really do.
You
really do sense the magic. The new Nimbus 2000, fastest ever.
Oh my gosh. Of course we know that Harry's going to get that broom.
Of course we are. Oh, yeah, definitely, for sure. And then obviously they go to Gringotts, which is where they meet the goblins that apparently look like everyone's secretary. Enter stranger, but take heed of what awaits the sin of greed. For those who take but do not earn must pay most dearly in their turn. So if you seek beneath our floors a treasure that was never yours, thief, you have been warned, beware of finding more than treasure there.
It's incredible.
It is. Basically, the sign should have just read, don't steal, you're going to get spanked.
There are dragons. Like, watch out.
Yeah.
Watch out for the dragons.
There are dragons.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly. So Hagrid is there. He needs to pick up something for Dumbledore. Very significantly, the vault is 713. I think we all know that those are very significant numbers, in a magical sense. I love that they go on like a roller coaster ride through the crazy vaults of Gringotts. Yeah. That is fun. Like, that's just fun and...
Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah.
Also, I just feel like, what's in Vault 713? Oh, I can't tell you that. Very secret Hogwarts business. Dumbledore's trusted me more than my job's worth to tell you that. I'm like, so for the sake of the book, I live for this. I think it's great. It's exciting. It's mysterious. I'm like, ooh, I wonder why. But as an adult, I'm like, he's the groundskeeper. Like, he's not, like, Dumbledore, go get it yourself. This is the Philosopher's Stone. It literally gives people immortality.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love that Dumbledore trusts Hagrid that much, but
I think this first book is actually stressing me out a little bit because there are so many things where I'm like, man, I can't believe I just let that slide.
Yeah, I know.
Like, and don't even get me started on Hagrid's stupid umbrella that does magic.
Oh my gosh, I know. I can't deal with that.
Which literally doesn't factor in any of the other books. Never, ever again, after this opening 5 chapters, does anyone have an artifact that can do magic like a wand. Whatever. Not to mention, she contradicts her own wand law in the space of about 4 pages, which really stresses me out. When you're like, the wand chooses the wizard. It's not really clear why, but it happens. And it's very important. The wand chooses the wizard. You won't have as much luck with someone else's wand, blah, blah, blah. And then 5 pages later, Ron is like, I've got Charlie's wand.
Right. I know.
Nah, mate.
But we'll get to that. So another bone I have to pick with Rowling, her currency system, like 17 silver sickles to a galleon and 29 nuts to a sickle. It's easy enough. No, it's not.
Yeah, which I love, but at the same time, again, wizarding money, never talked about again.
True.
We didn't need it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we didn't. It's cute, it's fun, I get it, they have their own currency.
I don't know. I just can't, like, how are you supposed to do that math?
Also, this is a lot of like, oh, you get cauldrons here and you can get this here. There's an apothecary, which is great. But like, if you don't know about Muggle money, where are you buying your groceries from?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where's the market? Where's the, yeah.
Yeah, like, oh, I just need to go grab some parsnips. Oh, I can't because the only thing the wizarding community sells is ground up unicorn horns for some reason.
Yeah. Oh. Oh, okay. So we finish at Gringotts and we go out and we get to Madame Malkin's robes. And Harry
which is
meets
where we meet
Draco Malfoy. Oh my gosh.
But you don't know that he's Draco Malfoy at this point.
True, you don't. But
you just know that he's real greasy.
Yes. And I find it really interesting. So the comparison between Draco and Dudley, I think Rowling is kind, because Draco sounds a lot like Dudley.
But doesn't look a thing like him.
True. But they're both obviously extremely spoiled. Like, their parents obviously give them whatever they want because, like, Draco says, my father's next door buying my books and mother's up the street looking at wands. Then I'm going to drag them off to look at racing brooms. I think I'll bully father into getting me one and I'll smuggle it in somehow. And it even says Harry was strongly reminded of Dudley.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But Dudley is just spoiled, whereas Draco Malfoy is super elitist.
He is, and here, oh goodness, here is the thing. Draco Malfoy is elitist. He's also incredibly capable and intelligent, whereas Dudley is spoiled and an absolute moron.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both dangerous in their own ways, which is just very interesting. And I think one of the reasons that Harry doesn't really have that much of like a a rivalry with Dudley is because Dudley's not on the same level as him, whereas with Draco Malfoy, Harry mistakes Draco for being like Dudley, and he's not like Dudley because he's incredibly intelligent and very manipulative and very capable, whereas Dudley is most of the time just thinking about cheesecake. So,
Right, and only has like brute strength, whereas Malfoy is...
I mean, that being said, I too am often thinking about cheesecake, but
Are you?
I like cheesecake.
Okay, all right.
I mean, I can't eat it, but like...
Ugh, stupid celiacs.
Oh my gosh. No, stupid Crohn's.
Oh, yeah.
So many health problems. If only I was a wizard.
Oh.
Anyway, so and then when he finds out, we hear Quidditch for the first time, but have no idea what that is.
I'm excited to learn more about that. Okay, so then just the biggest problem with Draco Malfoy before we leave him, I really don't think they should let the other sort in, do you? Meaning Muggleborns. They're just not the same. They've never been brought up to know our ways. Some of them have never even heard of Hogwarts until they get the letter, I imagine. I think they should keep it in the old wizarding families. We are introduced to it right away.
Yeah.
The problem with Draco Malfoy.
Spoiler alert, guys. Racism is really bad.
It's really, really bad. And we're going to delve way into that in the series.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm also... it upsets me that it's such a prevalent part of the series because it's what makes it all feel very real, which is very upsetting that the way you connect it to the real world is be like, hey, look, wizards have racism too.
Yeah. Oh, so sad. But, I mean, it's just another mark of the brilliance of J.K. Rowling's writing.
Well, that's true.
That she finds those bits of connection and she exposes how bad they are.
Right, but also then, okay, controversially, let's have a moment. Okay, so then 2 pages later, so he's mentioning all these things, blah, 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 and then Harry's back with Hagrid and asks him what a Hufflepuff and a Slytherin is. Could be worse, could be blah, 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 at least being a Slytherin. It wasn't a witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't a Slytherin. You know who was one. Right. it goes both ways.
Mm-hmm.
The poor Slytherin kids that are like, I'm just in Slytherin because I'm wily.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not in Slytherin because I'm a racist. Like they are then looked. It goes both ways. It's very much very much a look at how damning sometimes the more open, liberally minded against it goes both ways. It's very interesting how she kind of introduces the idea that no one is shame-free. That doesn't negate the fact that wizarding elitism and racism is wrong. It just means that we need to be careful that we don't that the good characters don't also fall victim to such things.
Right.
Well,
so they buy some more stuff.
He gets an owl.
What?
He gets an owl.
Yes, I want Hedwig. I love her so much. She's so beautiful, and
you can't have her because she's dead.
Oh, okay. Just rub some salt on there. All right.
Yeah, but no, I won't say that. That's too mean.
Please don't. So now we are at Ollivander's shop, and we are going to buy a wand for Harry. Oh my gosh.
John Hurt. Honestly, John Hurt.
He was incredible as Ollivander.
And did you know, here's a bit of trivia for you. He is the actor with the longest gap between appearances in any Harry Potter film, because he's in the first one and he's in the first one and the seventh one, but he's not in the second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth.
Crazy.
So he has the longest gap between character appearances in the whole franchise.
So crazy. And he just killed that performance. He was so good.
So good.
And he makes Harry uncomfortable. He makes me uncomfortable. I'm totally with Harry. Like, I don't understand anything that's going on.
For real. And you're not supposed to.
Which is annoying because I want to. Like, it says, Harry tried and tried. He had no idea what Mr. Ollivander was waiting for. The pile of tried wands was mounting higher and higher, but the more wands Mr. Ollivander pulled from the shelves, the happier he seemed to become. And you're like, what's he waiting for? What's he looking for? What's the criteria for this wand?
Okay, also, can we have a conversation here about the genius of talking about the difference between good and great? So, I remember every wand I've ever sold, Mr. Potter. Every single wand. It so happens that the phoenix whose tail feather is in your wand gave another feather. Just one other. It is very curious indeed that you should be destined for this wand, when its brother gave you that scar. Harry swallowed. Blah, 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 blah. I think we must expect great things from you, Mr. Potter. After all, he who must not be named did great things. Terrible, yes, but great. Woo, girl.
That is just incredible.
It's so good. Because it also tells you right out the gate that Voldemort's not to be trifled with.
Mm-hmm. And it also gives you that connection between their two wands. So you see that connection between Harry and Voldemort.
Which is why when is it? Is it the fourth one when you first see Priori Incantatum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Goblet of Fire. Yes.
For real.
Oh, it's
nerd.
Just incredible.
I'm such a nerd. I'm so sorry.
We both are. We've already been taught. Okay, we've got to go faster. We're gonna lose our audience if we just keep rambling and rambling.
The late afternoon sun hung over the sky. Harry and Hagrid, leaky cauldron, blah blah blah. And then okay. This is logical, but again, in the film, it doesn't happen, and so you totally forget. Because you're like, all right, well, bye. You go back to the Dursleys for another month.
Oh, that does suck. Yes. Can you imagine?
Yeah. Whereas in the movie, they don't explain until it's Harry's birthday, and then all of a sudden he's like, right, well, I'm off to school. And you're like, what kind of school starts on the 1st of August? But you do.
Yeah.
Especially in England. Most schools in England don't start until the 10th or 12th of September.
In Texas, generally, I don't know about the rest of, I feel like generally in America, we start the last week of August. So we'd start like the last Monday of August or so.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's Expect great things, famous, like blah, blah, blah. People, oh, and he's already nervous. Okay, 1st of September, King's Cross, it's on your ticket. Any problems with Dursleys? Yeah, also, your owl will know where to find me. No explanation as to how the owls know that.
I know.
Is she a magic owl or just a regular old owl?
I know. I wish I knew how the owls always knew.
If I were to go out now and find an owl and say, can you take this left hand, would they do it? I don't know.
You should try.
Maybe.
You should try and see what happens.
I think I'd probably get scratched and pecked by it.
Probably.
Anyway, so then chapter 6.
The journey from platform 9 3/4, which okay, naming the platform 9 3/4 is quite silly, but it's so iconic.
It's iconic.
That I can't complain. I think it is quite silly, but it's become so iconic.
But it's not silly to the point where you're like, nah, mate, I don't believe it. It's
True.
Silly, and you're like, okay, cool, that's magic and fun.
Yeah, true.
It's whimsical, whereas some of the other stuff is just silly.
Yeah.
So they drop him off to King's Cross because they're taking Dudley. Right, because they're taking Dudley to hospital to get the tail removed. And you're like,
how have they waited a month to do that?
Okay. First of all, they've waited a month to do that. Second of all, although frankly the English healthcare system means that they would probably have to wait a month to get that done. They wouldn't be able to do it. Anyway, but more from that is they're taking him to London so he can get his tail removed. And I'm like, okay, Hagrid, he didn't do anything all that bad, and you gave him a tail which he's now going to have surgically removed.
Yeah, that's kind of a...
That's so dark.
Yeah. That's harsh.
That's Pinocchio turning into a donkey dark. That is like...
Ugh, yeah. Don't care for that. But...
Anyway, and then they drop him at London and they laugh at him and drive off, which, by the way, they're just like, oh, haha, leave you, 11-year-old child, in the middle of the largest metropolis. Like,
that is also quite dark. And if that were set now, 100% CPS would have been called on them.
Oh, for real?
Like, probably long before this, but...
Yeah. We have video footage of you leaving a small child with a large trunk and a bird in the middle of the busiest train interchange in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, second busiest, because Clapham Junction is the busiest, but that's not the point.
Yes. I love it. So Harry is looking at the clock and he's only got 10 minutes left and he doesn't know what to do. And he thinks Hagrid must have forgotten to tell him something. But just when he's about to get out his wand and just start tapping the barrier. But he doesn't have to. Because here are the Weasleys.
Because of my favorite character in the whole series.
Oh my gosh. Here are the Weasleys. Oh, I love them so much.
Molly Weasley is my favorite character in the whole series, and not just because of Julie Walters, though thank you, Lord, for sending us Julie Walters a moment of silence.
Oh. Okay.
But because as a character, I love blum blum blum. 1 second. Not to worry, so yes, said Harry. The thing is, I don't know how to get onto the platform, she said kindly. I know it's just a little description, but it's just, you're just like, oh, look, here's this mum that he's never had.
Yes, exactly.
Like, you're not a nuisance to me. I genuinely want to help you. And the reason he doesn't immediately ask for help is because he's used to adults treating him like crap.
I literally wrote down in my notes, Mrs. Weasley is so kind to Harry. She's just exactly the kind of best friend's mom he needs. Like...
Tea.
Oh, yes.
So true.
Yes. So, and then we meet Fred and George. And I love...
Who are so much better in the books than they are in the films.
True. But I feel like that's the director's fault most of the time. Because they kept out the best Fred and George moments. So I feel like James and Oliver Phelps did a good job.
That's true. Yeah, but also, I mean, like, the thing is, they're not really all that relevant to the story long-term wise.
True.
And so I can understand why they were kind of cut out.
True. But Of course. I love that the first thing we see them do is lie to their mother and pretend to be, play a joke on their mother. I'm not
Yeah.
Fred, I'm George, said the boy. Honestly, woman, and you call yourself our mother. Can't you tell I'm George? Sorry, George dear. Only joking, I am Fred. Like, I just love it. It's just so
Yeah,
great.
it's too good.
And then, hello, dear, she said. First time at Hogwarts? Ron's new, too. Oh, it's Ron.
I know.
It's Ron. I love him. I just love him.
Too.
So
She
tells Harry how to get onto the platform, and he just runs at the barrier, and suddenly he's there, and there's the Hogwarts Express.
Yeah, and then 2 paragraphs later, all of a sudden, we meet Neville, but we don't really meet Neville. We just kind of vaguely, and then who'd have known that he'd end up being so important to the franchise?
Oh, I know.
And that Matthew Lewis would grow up to be smoking hot.
I love him. Oh, is Matthew Lewis just as wonderful as he seems? Please tell me he's a good person.
He's very lovely.
Oh,
he's very lovely.
I want to meet him too. But I didn't have a crush on him because obviously when he was a little kid, he wasn't like
no.
The definition
but then all of a sudden, and like in the last few Harry Potter films, they had to put him in a fat suit because he leaned out so much, and they were like, "Okay, we don't really know what to do here."
And is that why they made him dress so terribly?
Yeah, so they gave him fake teeth as well.
Oh goodness.
Blah blah blah. He gets on the train. He sees the redhead twins again. Blimey, said the other twin. You're Harry Potter. Yes, I am Harry Potter. And then Prefect Percy.
Ugh.
I can't.
I've always hated Percy. I love that he did get a good redemption, but
yeah, I also think he's a really good character. He's a good character. He's just annoying as all get out.
Oh yes, I just can't stand. I can't stand him as a person. He's a great character. So I guess I kind of feel about Percy the way you do about Dumbledore.
Yeah, except Percy's he's just a bit of a tool, whereas Dumbledore enables abuse.
Okay, you said 1 per episode. Okay.
Okay, fine. That's
so
fair.
I love this interaction between the Weasley family. So they're all saying goodbye to each other. And okay, this is the biggest beef I have with the Sorcerer's Stone, by the way. The Sorcerer's Stone edition has the Weasley children calling their mother Mom instead of Mum. And I'm like, that just makes me want to throw up in my mouth.
The only way that could work, because they never tell us where they're from, is if the Weasleys are from Birmingham, because people from Birmingham say Mom, not Mum.
Interesting.
They are not from Birmingham.
Yeah, because they say Mum here. So that was just an Americanism. And
I'm also just letting you know that people from Birmingham spell it M-O-M.
Oh, #education. Okay.
I know, you're welcome. It's fine. Every day with me is like being back at school.
It's true. So Fred and George say, hey, Mom, guess what? Guess who we just met on the train? You know that black-haired boy who was near us in the station? Know who he is? Harry Potter! And then the thing that made me laugh so hard was, never mind that. Do you think he remembers what you-know-who looks like? Like, it's so real. Like, that is absolutely the question they would ask. I don't know.
I love. Come on, where is it? I forbid you to ask him, Fred. No, don't you dare. As though he needs reminding of that on his first day of school. She's so nice.
She is. She's so lovely.
She's so unperturbed by the fact that he's Harry Potter, despite the fact that she's inside probably thinking, oh, damn.
Exactly. Oh,
yeah.
And then I've always loved the little tiny tidbits of relationship we get between Fred, George, and Ginny. I think the 3 of them have a very cute relationship. And it says, cute. Their younger sister began to cry. Don't, Jenny. We'll send you loads of owls. We'll send you a Hogwarts toilet seat.
Yes, so good.
They absolutely would send her that, and she would think it was just as hilarious as they do. So I think the relationship between the twins and Ginny is adorable.
I do too. Okay, can we talk about, very clever, the nods to when Ron is just talking about his family, which is great, really lovely, as kids do. You know, they're back and forth, they're just telling them. But how very adult it is, or very self-aware it is, when he cuts off before telling Harry that the family couldn't afford to. And I love as well, because it's just such a sign of, they're going to be really good friends. Percy got an half and dad being a prefect, but they couldn't. I got Scabbers instead.
Mm-hmm.
Harry didn't think there was anything wrong with not being able to afford an owl. After all, he hadn't had any money in his life until a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
And he told Ron so.
Yes.
I like that. So instead of doing what most British people would do, which is shut themselves up and be like, we don't talk about money. Instead, he says to him, oh, cool, you're poor. I've been poor my entire life until like 10 seconds ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm going to tell you about it because we're going to be friends and there's no embarrassment in the fact that you're poor.
Yeah, it's so sweet. It really establishes, we've already established that Harry is a very sweet, kind, kid.
Yeah, and also very honest. When he says Voldemort's name and Ron's like, say, what? And Harry says, well, I'm not trying to be brave or anything, saying his name. I just never knew that you shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
See what I mean? I've just got a lot to learn.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice. It's utterly unbelievable. No child would ever be so open about their own shortcomings. But I think it's very admirable, and it's a good character trait.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And then Harry buys out the trolley cart and gets all the sweets, and I love it.
And I'm like, okay, we get it, you're rich, but at the same time, what about the other hungry children on the train?
I know.
And you're all like, no. That's typical. Look how fast he falls into his capitalist rich person ways. He's like,
gosh.
oh, there are other hungry children on the train, but I'm going to buy all of these to show off to my friend who just complained about being poor, that I used to be poor, but I'm not anymore, but he still is. I don't love it.
I don't think that was Harry's line of thinking at all. So
doesn't matter. Still, we did.
Don't think so. He didn't buy every last bit of stuff she had on the cart. He just bought like a sample of each. So
okay, that's true. That's
boom.
Fair. That's fair.
So it's so fun. Like as it says, it was a nice feeling sitting there with Ron, eating their way through all Harry's pasties and cakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
It's like a rolled, crumbling pastry filled with so a pasty generally, so like a Cornish pasty is it's kind of like you almost make like a beef and onion stew, like really thick, and then you put it in, and then you put it inside a thick, crumbly pastry.
Pasties just aren't a thing that we have in America, so
yeah.
Yes. Oh, and then so Harry unwraps his chocolate frog and he gets the Dumbledore card, and we just have to read it. Albus Dumbledore, currently headmaster of Hogwarts. Considered by many the greatest wizard of modern times, Professor Dumbledore is particularly famous for his defeat of the dark wizard Grindelwald in 1945, for the discovery of the 12 uses of dragon's blood, and his work on alchemy with his partner Nicholas Flamel. Professor Dumbledore enjoys chamber music and 10-pin bowling. Those details are incredible.
Yeah, and also super relevant.
Yes! His defeat of the dark wizard Grindelwald and his work on alchemy.
Okay, but yes, so yes, I love all of that, but we do need to talk momentarily, very children's book, so I've got to stop getting so upset about it, but he's most famous for blah, 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 with his partner, Nicholas Flamel. And yet later on, when they read about Nicholas Flamel, everyone's like, ooh, who's that? And Harry's like, ooh, that sounds familiar. And then he remembers, oh, it was in my chocolate frog. Hermione literally has done so much reading about all of this, and at no point does she hear the name Nicholas Flamel, which this just said is what he's most famous for.
That is interesting.
He's clearly not most famous for it, otherwise...
Plot hole. I don't know.
Which does, though, lead us to the next page, which gives us... Hermione Granger.
Oh my gosh. Oh, and so Neville comes in looking for his toad, and then he leaves, but then it says the toadless boy was back, but this time he had a girl with him. She was already wearing her new Hogwarts robes. Has anyone seen a toad? Neville's lost one, she said. She had a bossy sort of voice, lots of bushy brown hair, and rather large front teeth. Oh, Hermione Granger.
I know. I live for her. I think she's great.
I relate so much to Hermione. I really do.
We've already told him we haven't seen it, said Ron, but the girl wasn't listening. She was looking at the wand in his hand. Oh, are you doing magic? Let's see it then. She sat down. I love that. She sat down.
Yeah, for the show.
I'm obsessed with. Are you sure that's a real spell? Well, it's not very good, is it? I've tried a few simple spells just for practice, and it's all worked fine for me. Nobody in my family's magic at all. It was ever such a surprise when I got my letter, but I was ever so pleased, of course. I mean, it's the very best school of witchcraft there is, I've heard. I've learned all our set books off by heart, of course. I just hope it will be enough. I'm Hermione Granger, by the way. Who are you? I just live. I live for her.
It sets up her, she projects this confidence, but she really doesn't feel it at all. And that's why she's tried all these spells. She's memorized all these books. She's already wearing her Hogwarts robes. Like, she really projects this incredible confidence, but you can tell right away it's not real.
So I genuinely think that there is money to be made, and I think I should do it, in reprinting all of the Harry Potter books with the exact same covers, no words changed, except the title of the book should be Hermione Granger, and because she does all the work.
She does. Yeah. Poor Harry Harry would not be the chosen one without her, by any means. He would not have defeated
Honestly,
Voldemort.
have you... everybody who's listening to this, which I guess is probably just maybe 2 people, everyone who's listening to this, immediately Google Harry Potter book titles from Hermione's perspective. There is literally such a good list of what the books would be called if they were called Hermione Granger and they start off serious and then end up with book titles like Hermione Granger and Yet Another Year with these stupid boys who can't do anything without my help.
It's true. It's just so true.
Which is so funny because you're supposed to not like her when you meet her.
Yes, I know. So yeah, she's actually, I mean, she's quite annoying. She's very bossy. She's a know-it-all. So then they talk about schoolhouses, and we add Ravenclaw and Gryffindor into the mix. Ron is really nervous that he won't be in Gryffindor. He really wants to be, but he's very nervous of almost kind of letting the family down. I mean, not that the family wants him to be in Gryffindor, but he's very nervous of being the only person in his family not to go in Gryffindor, because there's that insecurity in him that he's got to live up to everything his family's done, which is such an important character element for Ron. His insecurity with his family. Yeah,
very true. Also, I'm curious, well, here, oh gosh, I just love, anyway, we better go and look for Neville's toad. You two had better get changed, you know. I expect we'll be there soon. I don't know what, there's just something about the way she speaks that just makes, I live. Sorry.
Yes, no, I agree. All things Hermione.
And she left, for it. Taking the toadless boy with her.
She's in charge. She is in charge. Oh my gosh. Oh, okay, so then the next people to come into the compartment. Draco Malfoy and his cronies. Oh, this is Crabbe and this is Goyle. And my name's Malfoy. Draco Malfoy. Ugh, think my name is funny, do you? No need to ask who you are. My father told me all the Weasleys have red hair, freckles, and more children than they can afford. Burn.
I mean, but... Okay, it's a burn, and okay, so he's mean, but also I feel like Draco Malfoy is a mood, and so for me, I'm like, yeah, like, I don't know, maybe wash your clothes, Ron, and also, Mr. and Mrs. Weasley, use contraception. You're poor. Stop having so many children.
Don't have that many, yeah.
Like, Draco Malfoy is horrible, and he shouldn't have said it, but he is a mood. Yes. And I can kind of get behind these times.
Yes. Well, so then he holds out his hand to shake Harry's, but Harry didn't take it. I think I can tell who the wrong sort are for myself, thanks. Ugh, another burn. Good job, Harry.
Another bird. Because basically, because Draco is like, oh, hi, I'm Draco, and I'm coming for you.
Mm-hmm.
And Harry's like, oh, sorry, I didn't send for you,
Mm-hmm.
but I will be ready when you get here.
Yes. Yes.
Bro, like,
oh, I love it.
maybe, I do think that maybe all of the Savage lines of Harry Potter should all be reimagined with drag queens of color. Just being like, girl, I did not send for you. You just called my friend ginger and poor. How dare you?
I said what I said.
I said what I said. What had happened was living.
So then Scabbers bites Goyle for them. I think that's a nice moment. I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Because he had it coming.
I mean, yeah.
Then Hermione comes
because
to
later,
see...
No, okay, sorry, we're doing this again. Scabbers bites Goyle. Right, okay, fine. But knowing what we know about Scabbers now, in retrospect, why would he do that? He'd have been sat there in Ron's lap being like, ah ha 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 ha. They're saying mean things about these people, which is good because I hate the Potters and I love Voldemort. So why would he then bite Goyle?
I don't know, just for fun. He might have been bored. Who knows?
I mean, I guess if you are a human living as a rat, you probably would be.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I just have another Hermione moment that we have to live for. You haven't been fighting, have you? You'll be in trouble before we even get there. Scabbers has been fighting, not us, said Ron. Would you mind leaving while we change? All right, I only came in here because people outside are behaving very childishly, racing up and down the corridors. And you've got dirt on your nose, by the way. Did you know? Amazing. Amazing. So, so then they get to the station, and Hagrid calls for all the first years to follow him. And this is a very interesting way to get to Hogwarts, I think, across the lake. It seems like a lot of trouble, even if it's a whole tradition. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seems like a little bit more trouble than it's worth.
I think it's good. I don't think it was intentional by her at all, but I think it's good because it then means that we're all the way to the fifth. The fifth? Yeah, the fifth book by the time we learn about Thestrals, which I think is pretty cool.
True. That's true. So they sail along, and they were carried along a dark tunnel. What?
Wait, hold up. Why no, you know what, that's a separate topic. So they were carried along this dark tunnel, yeah.
Okay, yes. Which seemed to be taking them right underneath the castle until they reached a kind of underground harbor where they clambered out onto rocks and pebbles. Oi, you there, is this your toad? Said Hagrid. So they finally found Neville's toad. And then they clambered up. Yes, I love that that's the name of the toad, Trevor, honestly. They clambered up a passageway in the rock after Hagrid's lamp, coming out at last onto smooth, damp grass right in the shadow of the castle. They walked up a flight of stone steps and crowded round the huge oak front door. Everyone here, you there, still got your toad? Hagrid raised a gigantic fist and knocked 3 times on the castle door. Ugh. And that's the end of chapter 6. And we've talked for almost an hour about it.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, everyone.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Apologies. We just have so much to talk about. We could have talked way longer.
It's very good. I have many more things that need to be said.
It's true. It's true. Well, we will see you all next time for at least chapter 7, and I don't know how many more chapters we'll do, or how many more we'll do in a setting. But we'll see you guys next time.
Okay. See you next time. Well, we won't, but you will hear us.
You will hear us next time.
Right.
Bye.
Well, I'm going to go to bed before either one of you comes up with another clever idea to get us killed, or worse, expelled.
You need to sort out your priorities. Ugh, iconic. All right. Bye.